need to fix the camera because I had it focusing on you. Probably down the middle of the screen.
Hello. It's Giving Tuesday, in case you didn't know. And we are here tonight with some exciting news about challenges. And also, I have special guests with me tonight. And I'll introduce you in just a moment. Or I guess I could say who you are. This is Susannah Gaul. Susannah, and we were told, like you could tell, Susannah is my daughter. She's my in-between daughter. And and by the way, I'm Ann Miller, and I'm President and Executive Director of the Home Educators Association of Virginia. And thank you so much for being here. And also thank you so much for your incredible generosity on this Giving Tuesday. We are blown away. We still have a way to go, but we are excited and so appreciative of so many who have stepped up and have gotten their donations double matched. We are so appreciative to our generous donors who also provided the double matches. And so far today, I have numbers, and we'll get back to Susannah in just a minute. And if any of you have struggling learners or children who you feel are late bloomers, Susannah and I are going to have a conversation that I think will greatly encourage you and give you hope and encouragement that the beauty of homeschooling is the freedom that we have, and also the freedom for our children to learn and grow in their own way, in their own time. And so we're going to share a little bit about that in just a minute. But it is Giving Tuesday, and today is such an important day for HEAV because it's a day that helps fund the organization year-round. And many of you out there know HEAV is here all year long. And actually, we're pretty much here 365 days of the year because our moderators are always online. Even on holidays, they pop in and answer your questions and help you. And it is your contributions and your gifts to HEAV that keep us here, that keep us strong, that keep us going and doing all the programs, the legislative work, the lobbying work, working with all the school superintendents, and 178 incidents this year with school superintendents with overreach. And sometimes people think, oh, the overreach is not that much. But the thing is, we want to maintain our homeschool freedoms, and we want to make sure that the school systems are not asking for more than the law allows. We have a great law in Virginia. It's not that hard to follow, but we don't want to have to do more than the law requires. And so, and that's that we have a whole team of people who monitor all the school board meetings, and your giving today on Giving Tuesday helps us be here all year round and to do all the things that HEAV does throughout the year. So let me get back to our giving I don't know where to look here because usually it's only one person, so I don't know where to look. I need to. So if my eyes are wandering, it's because I'm not used to sharing the camera with my lovely daughter. But okay, so she's used to me. So far today, you have given $21,390. Woo! And our goal for today is $40,000. This is our 40th anniversary, the end of our 40th year. And so $40,000 is our goal. We still have $8,032 in match challenges. So for every dollar that you give, we have another donor who will match that. So if you give $25, it becomes $50. If you give $100, it becomes $200. She's an engineer. She can do the math for me, right? If you give $1,000, it becomes $2,000. If you give $5,000, it becomes $10,000. And so we have $8,032 left for our grant, for our match challenge from donors who will double your money. Where else can you go and have your money go twice as far? Certainly not at the grocery store or anywhere else for that matter, right? Susannah has moved to California. She has a whole new understanding of prices. We can be thankful for what we have here in Virginia, right? Okay, so from now until 8 o'clock, we have 19 minutes. 19 minutes?
Till 8?
Do the math till 8,
Yeah.
41?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 15 plus whatever it is.
Right. Whatever. We can't tell time. It's too late. Till 8 o'clock. I'm just going to say till 8 o'clock. You'll get it. It's been a long day, long Giving Tuesday, but a wonderful day. And we're so appreciative to you all. So from now until 8 o'clock, every dollar that is given and will be doubled. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about homeschooling. And remember, if you have friends who have struggling learners and late bloomers, tell them to come on because we're going to talk about that. Susannah you two are too cute. Thank you, Chris Tewksbury, mother-daughter. Isabel, that's why religious exemption is the best way to get the government, big or small, out of our lives and of our children's lives. Religious exemption, Virginia is the only state in the nation that actually has a religious exemption, where if you have bona fide religious convictions, you can be exempt from compulsory attendance. And it does give great freedom to teach and train your children in accordance with your convictions. And yes, religious exemption is a great, Virginia is in the forefront with religious freedom in that way, which is awesome. Susannah is kind of a middle-ish child. She is number 5 of 8.
Handful.
She's a handful. Actually, she was never a handful. Hardly ever a problem. And she was a late bloomer. And but the beauty of homeschooling is that she was able to have that space. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experiences growing up? And also, I guess I should tell you that Susannah is an engineer. She's a mechanical engineer. She's worked with Virginia Space and was on the launch team out on Wallops Island. You've worked, what was the next company?
It was Luna Labs. It's a small research firm in Charlottesville.
Yeah. And now she's at another place where I can't tell you where she works.
I'm at one of the national labs out in California.
Yes. With her husband, Nathan. And they hired both of them. They took the whole pair. And they just moved to California in April. April. So, and she's back visiting for the holidays. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for that donation. It will be doubled. Yay. Thanks so much. So, Susannah, share.
So yeah, growing up, doing homeschooling, it was just sort of what we did. So being able to get the schoolwork done fairly rapidly, depending on the day and the coursework that was assigned. But just the freedom to explore the things that interested me. And then just being able to take the time to explore who I was and understanding how my brain works, how the world works, and how I interacted and intersected with the world. So yeah, it gave me a lot of freedom to do that. As Mom was saying, I was a late bloomer, so where do we want to start?
I know, where do we begin?
I wouldn't say I was a stellar student. High school was difficult. I enjoyed math. I loved history. I enjoyed science. But it was just...
Hey, Karen, thank you. We love you too.
It was just difficult. I had a hard time focusing. I had a hard time settling down to do my work. So it was just difficult. But the freedom that homeschooling gave was like I had opportunities to take more time on certain subjects or just to slow down. The other thing that it gave me is eyes started interning or being apprenticed with Mom when I was 14.
Apprentice would work too.
Yeah, as a graphic designer, because I think it was robotics.
We did robotics,
Yeah.
and can we say enough about robotics?
Yeah,
Robotics was a cornerstone in our family, and not just for engineers.
No.
Which is how Susannah got her start. She didn't know she wanted to be an engineer.
I was like, engineering, what's that? No, I knew I loved math, but it wasn't like something that I was interested in doing. But with the robotics team, they had the more, what you call that? Basically, there was a 4-page newsletter that the team had to submit, and I volunteered to help with that and didn't realize what I was getting into. So I am a chronic procrastinator.
Where did you get that?
And it was, I guess, like a week or so before the deadline to submit this 4-page, whatever you wanted it to be. And Mom sent me upstairs to do something, and she came upstairs. She was like, "What's going on? Why is things taking so long?" And then I started showing her what I had done with Photoshop and what I had been working on too. And she's had been a graphic designer for a while. I don't remember how long.
Yeah, I did HEAV's publications and marketing and did the graphics for 21 years. Now, not the whole 21 years. I mean, I always was working on graphics, but that was what started me, was being able to do graphics for the organization and do the newsletter at that time. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yay. Your donation will be doubled. Thank you so, so much. But so anyway, she went to do, I was the mentor for the robotics team for the publication. That was my part. I didn't have anything to do with math, engineering. No, not me, but I could do the publications. And so she went upstairs to do what I thought was a simple thing, but she was gone for a long time. And we're trying to get to the deadline. And I go up and I see what she has created, which was, I still have it. I wish I had it out. I could show it to you. A world-class design. This is like old Photoshop. How old were you? Were 14?
Yeah, I was 14.
She was 14 years old. This is like old. And taking the backgrounds out of things was a multiple step process. It was not easy to do, not like now with the magic erasers and all of that. But she had taken the background off a photo and had placed it with the words about the team next to it. And it was world class. And when I saw it, I was like, I'm still speechless, which is saying a lot. It was incredible. And when we got the whole thing done and wrapped up, and do you remember what you told me about how you felt when you did graphic design? Yeah, it was like Eric Liddell, when he would run, he would feel God's pleasure. She told me, like, when I do graphic design, I just feel like I'm in the groove. Do you remember? You probably know her. I remember though. And she went on to do way beyond anything I could do, and learn the systems and all the mechanical things of design. But because she had time and space, you went
to explore. So like in my free time, I had always found the graphic design, so the Adobe suite. So at that point it was PageMaker, which is it's like Word for designers, and Photoshop. I loved Photoshop. But during my free time, I had the opportunity to play with those and manipulate text and do crazy things with pictures and just figure out how the programs worked. So that sort of led into being an apprentice, and then eventually working for HEAV as a graphic designer for 14 years.
14 years.
And during that time, didn't know what I wanted to do. So I knew I loved math. I know I loved science.
And problem solving.
And I loved problem solving. I approached graphic design at the time. I did not know it, but I approached it as an engineer. Just the way that I approached having to manipulate and fit things into spaces and troubleshooting images and texts. But yeah, it was just the space to explore. I tried, I want to say it was like 1 or 2 distant learning programs to try and get a degree, because I was thinking like graphic design, interior design, this will be great. It was not great.
Sad.
Learned things about myself. And then mom was just encouraging me as far as like, I was just a little bit stuck with not sure what to do. And I guess realizing that mom and dad would not be there to support me forever. So needing to figure out.
Sure we would.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know.
So realizing that needed a trade or something besides graphic design to just help if it ever came to that place to support myself. And that's when mom started encouraging me. She's like, well, you like math. You should start taking a math course or a science course at the local community college. And over the course of many years, I would just take a class at a time. And then it got to the point where it was like, wow, I think I actually do want to become an engineer. And at this point, I think I had 4 brothers that were engineers, and it was like, that's the boys thing. But I think it was over the course of.
Well, and Ruth had started in engineering.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, Ruth, my sister, had also started engineering. So yeah, it was definitely one of those things. Is I didn't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I was taking physics, and they had one of their problems was looking at stresses on cables, and I was like, oh, I love this. And the boys were like, well, if you like that, you should probably become an engineer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just the ability to take my time, understand how I worked, how my brain worked, but also during that time of just exploring and figuring out, I was able to travel. I was a nanny for a period of time for 3 different families. So I was able to travel around to experience and learn different things, all of which I would say have contributed to who I am today, and giving me confidence in how to navigate and be myself.
Yeah. I think one of the things that was pivotal for you is when you signed up for College Plus.
Yes.
It's not College Plus
I
anymore.
forgot about that.
Yeah. That she signed up for. It was a coaching program to help students take exams, get most of their degree through exams, and transfer all those credits to a university that would fill in the gaps with other classes to get the degree. And the first part of the program is getting to know who you are,
how God designed you,
how you were designed, what you were created for,
your purpose in life,
your purpose,
your talents, your skills, and how that integrates into how you navigate and work in the world.
Yeah. So, and she signed up and she paid for this course herself because she was making money doing graphics and other things. And do you want to talk about that experience? Because this was pivotal, and for homeschool moms and dads listening, helping your child understand how they're created is so important. And in this case, it was an unintended consequence, very unintended. That didn't. Well, I don't want to steal the story, but we also did aptitude testing to understand like the hard wiring of our kids. We did it with all 8 of our kids, and we still go back and look at them, especially when they're making transitions. Like, how did God create them? What is their hard wiring? And if you want to know more about aptitude testing, just message me, and I'll be happy to share those resources. But anyway, back to the College Plus, the coaching. You started, and this was supposed to be like your little introduction.
Yeah, it's supposed to take, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks, and it ended up taking, I want to say like 3 months. More. Okay, more.
Way more.
Um,
Well, it took almost the whole program.
Yeah, that's true.
You had it, was it a year?
Yep.
Yeah, it took,
So I don't know if anybody's familiar, but it's basically you sign up, they assign a sort of like accountability / coach to you. And then they walk with you through the first year. And if you want, you can get another year. So I signed up for that. And the first one was just like a worldview course. And I blew through that.
thank you, Chris. Oh, we're supposed to say 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
So 4
Whoops.
minutes.
Maureen did tell me we could extend if we need to. Double matches. Today is Giving Tuesday, but we thought we would share a story since Susannah's in town and Maureen asked about it. So if some of my kids could do a video. So she was here. She agreed. But we hope that this is going to help. It's going to help some of you out there navigate outside the box. And even outside the box of what was College Plus was outside the box, like getting your degree, getting college credits. And her coach, if I can just add this, her coach was there to mentor her through taking the tests to get the degree. But what happened was,
so like took the first course and like finished that pretty quickly because it was just videos and taking quizzes. So I was able to do that. And the next one was, I don't remember what it was called. It was something like purpose planning. And it was a little booklet, less than 50 pages. And the idea was to like go through and be reflective and try and match up your dreams with how you were designed, with what your purpose was. And that was very hard. I started it many times and stopped it. Very thankful. I don't remember my coach's name, but she probably remembers me. But she was very patient, and it was just sort of like very baby steps as far as like, all right, just do this little bit. All right, this bit. And I've always operated very well towards a deadline, and my year was coming up, and that sort of like helped me pull my thoughts together and finish this. And what I realized was I didn't really have much of a purpose, but wanted one. And that's sort of when I realized that, I did need to go to school. And Mom was very encouraging and just very supportive in like, well, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? Let's look at your Johnson O'Connor test. Let's, let's talk about it. So yeah, it was
circuitous. And that's okay.
Yes,
and that's what we want to tell you, that it's okay.
Yep.
And so you ended up not taking any exams during your College Plus.
Not during my College Plus,
Right.
But I did use the information that I had to be able to graduate from community college. Because there's a few courses it was like, I can just, study for a test and take the exam and get the credit for it and, save money, save time. But through that, as far as like there was, the College Plus experience, realized that I needed some different type of accountability. And through that experience, I was able to be like, all right, I need to put something into place that will help me succeed. So it was through that journey, through those experiences that as a young adult at that point, there were plenty of failures, but, I had the support system. I had the understanding that, failure is not the end of the world. It's just a stepping stone, a way to figure out what you need to move forward. And through many failures, figured out, distance learning is not for me. But yeah, it's just the flexibility and the freedom that, and just being able to like, homeschooling helps you think outside of the box, as far as like, it's not conventional. So what I do is I problem solve, and it's not conventional. It's different. It's the experiences that I have contributed to who I am today. And not all of them are easy, and not all of them are going to be pretty for parents to experience.
I'd say.
But it helps.
Extended flash. Every donation given will be doubled until we finish talking. When we stop talking. But I think this is so important for parents to know that your child's education doesn't need to be and shouldn't be in lockstep with a system that was designed to produce industrial workers who don't know how to think for themselves and who move at the ring of a bell. That they follow instructions, they do what they're told, and nothing is so important that when the bell rings, they move on to the next thing. Homeschooling, we talked about this morning, freedom. We have so much freedom. And Susannah was a late bloomer, and
I was 24 when I went to college. I was 27, I think, when I graduated with my bachelor's degree
in mechanical engineering. And actually, Virginia Space came to her. She didn't even have to apply for a job. And she was at Wallops on the launch team.
On Eastern Shore.
Yeah. So, but it was a wending path. But when she was growing up, part of her education, and I shared this on a post I did the other day, was making these elaborate teddy bears. I was telling her about this the other day. The most amazing prize-winning teddy bears, all these parts and pieces, and made from high-end upholstery samples that we got at a furniture company. Yeah.
And that was one of the things, is that I knew I loved working with my hands. And I loved the intricacies of that. So the teddy bears, those were a lot of fun. They were difficult, but they were a lot of fun. And then just paper arts, loved exploring those. And those teach you a lot of geometry and just how things fit together.
Yeah. I never thought about that.
But it wasn't just like paper art, it was the physics of paper and how they interact with each other. And, if you crease something too much, it's fatiguing the paper and it's going to break, fraying and things like that. So yeah, it was like understanding the materials and how they work. And it was a lot of fun.
That, I haven't ever heard you give that analogy, but she used to do intricate origami, like a crazy origami, and paper cutting.
Yep. It was just kirigami.
Yeah, kirigami and origami. And so you think your kids are doing these things and they're like it's not you. It's easy for us as parents to think, oh, they're just, messing around. They're just have a hobby, or they're doing crafts or whatever. But that is actually extremely educational. Now that she's an engineer, she can talk about the stress fatigue and, all those things.
Well, the other thing is, like, while I was doing the arts and crafts and the sewing and the paper arts, I was listening to books. So classics, basically anything that piqued my interest. Tore through a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah, audiobooks are the best. And get classic literature, especially when they're young, just fill their hearts with that beautiful language and the grammar, the syntax. They just get it all. It's the lazy mom's guide to home education. I stole that from Mary Pride. She wrote an article about tape recorders. But I also want to say, for me as a homeschool mom, this is my, I think, 35th year with HEAV, going into my 35th year with HEAV. Yeah. She used to come to board meetings with me as an infant. Coming to the convention and reading the articles that HEAV would put out. Remember, there was no internet when Susannah was born. There was no social media. There was no email. But and this is an encouragement, and it's what HEAV tries to do, is provide information and resources that are going to help you learn right along with your child and develop an educational mindset, think outside the box. And because it's scary, we've all come from a classroom model, and home education it's outside the box, but it's really hard. I found it extremely hard myself to think outside the box. And when I thought we were so far out the box with interest interest-based learning and projects and sewing and mini bikes and balsa wood models everywhere.
Lots of Legos.
Lots of Legos, Technics, Lego Technics. I read John Taylor Gatto's Underground History of American Education, and I cried. I mean, I wept, because I thought we were already so far out of the box in what we were doing. And yet it's so hard to get ourselves out of that classroom model for education. And the classroom is designed to control 30 students at a time. It's not the best form of education, individualized instruction, which is the freedom we have with homeschooling. It's the freedom that HEAV works for, and that you're giving, like today's Giving Tuesday, your support and donations to HEAV help us be here to encourage parents to educate their children to be who they were created to be, not according to some textbook, which is I mean, textbooks, I actually love textbooks because you get like an overview, but it's all disconnected history, where we have the opportunity to let the world be our classroom. And that's at HEAV, that's what we do. That's what we try to encourage you to create an educational environment with your kids. And also to protect the freedoms that we have as homeschoolers, even though we do a lot of things outside the box and not in a classroom model way. Our kids are doing great, and our test scores. I was just looking at a PowerPoint one of our team members was getting ready to do up in DC area this weekend, and it had the average, the Virginia test scores, 50 percentile is average, and all the Virginia scores for homeschoolers were above 80th percentile, so up to 30 percentile points higher. And that's with outside the box individualized education. And that's what we're here to encourage, to support, to protect the freedoms for parents to do that. And when you contribute to HEAV, it makes all the difference, because we can be here. We've helped tens of thousands of families. Actually, every year we help tens of thousands of families. Susannah, Susannah and her husband, Nathan, he also was homeschooled. He's an engineer as well, a UVA grad. Yay, go UVA. You and Nathan are actually great supporters of HEAV. And would you mind sharing why you do that? Sure. Other than I'm better than mom.
So I guess growing up and eventually going to school, and I guess seeing how a lot of people thought homeschooling went, and then the school system, and I'm trying to think where I was going with this. Basically, it's wanting to support an organization that is watching out for homeschooling freedoms. As far as Lord willing, if I have children, I would like to be able to homeschool them. And knowing like the struggles I had as a homeschool kid, as far as like learning, the freedom that it gave me to learn and explore, and wanting those for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, that has to start now. It's not something that's going to, it's something that I have to support and work with to help preserve it for future generations. Yeah, in the same, yeah. So it's wanting support, and HEAV was a massive part of my life. So there's definitely a lot of fondness that comes with it, but just the importance and freedom to be able to do what you feel is best for your kids. I think that is probably the most important thing is you as parents know your kids probably better than anybody else. And you know, and we'll figure out what the best course of education is for them. And if homeschooling is not there, what better course do you have? So yeah, HEVs, I don't know if I would use watchdog.
You could, we do watchdog. We are watchdogs. Yeah.
So as far as just watching and making sure there aren't any bills that are coming in that would try and steal these freedoms that we have.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll pay you later.
No,
I don't know.
Free thinker here.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that is one thing that with our children that we can encourage them in patriotism, understanding freedom, understanding what real freedom is. We have that opportunity as homeschool parents, and
responsibilities.
Yeah. And it's the legacy that really we want to do this for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. And you said that so well. I'm so proud homeschool mama here. Well, and all of these things is why we need your support, so that we can encourage the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. I have grandchildren. My oldest grandson is 15. It won't be too much longer before, he'll be having children of his own. And we want those freedoms to be there for our kids. And, we don't know how long we'll have these freedoms, but as long as there's breath, we want to fight, and we want to work, and we want to make sure. Most people homeschooling today don't remember, like I remember, when there was no law, and we were prepared to move from state to state if we needed to, because we had that conviction that we wanted to teach and train our children at home. We wanted to impart our faith and moral values. We wanted them to love learning. We wanted them to love their country, and to be independent thinkers and not peer dependent. Those were some of our very early goals, and we were willing to do whatever we needed to be able to fulfill that. And there are other parents. One parent had drills where the kids would hide under the bed when someone would knock on the door. And it's hard to imagine today that people were afraid to homeschool. And now we're still afraid to homeschool, but for a different reason. Not because it's not legal. We have the freedom to homeschool. Back then, we didn't even have the freedom. People were threatened with jail time and fines. And then there's always CPS, if you're with your children. And we don't have to worry about those things today. But I will say, in great part, HEAV has been here for 40 years. Since 1983, our law went into effect in 1984. HEAV has been here promoting and protecting and working to maintain the homeschool freedoms, and actually gain even more freedom in some areas through the years. If there's a video on our website, if you want to know what HEAV's done through the years in conjunction with others. Thank you, Tara. Thank you so much. That will be double matched. Thank you so much. And we're going to double match until we stop talking. We have 8,000. Well, I don't know how much we have now. I don't have an update on that. But when we went into this challenge, we have $8,032 to match tonight. To help us to get to our goal of $40,000 for HEAV's 40th anniversary on this Giving Tuesday. So if you can help, please generously give whatever you can. Every bit makes, yes, any amount makes a difference. And it does keep HEAV growing and going and growing, because we have so many more homeschoolers to serve. Post-COVID, from pre-COVID till now, homeschooling in Virginia has grown 35.5%. Now, we had a big spike, and it almost doubled with COVID year. course, 100% everybody was at home educating their children, right? During COVID. We don't count that. But parents, and that's one of the things that your funds will help, because we want to expand the team to be able to reach more parents, because what we're hearing from parents today, and you could be one of those, and if you are, tell me, parents are afraid that they won't be able to homeschool. We have this educational model where our kids are in class for 5 to 6 hours a day. And how in the world could we do that and live? Well, the thing is, we can't. We can't do that and live in that, but we don't have to, because individualized instruction, you know exactly where to go and what to do. And you're not teaching 30 children at a time. I had 8, so but still not 30. As a parent, no matter how many children we have, it's a much simpler education model, because it's individualized for what that student needs. And you don't have, well, you still have classroom management. We call it parenting. That doesn't go away. But it's a very effective method of education. And I forgot where I was going with that. But, oh, I know where. Your support today on Giving Tuesday will help us expand the team, because homeschooling has grown. The need for calls and resources and help during the year, 178 incidents of overreach this year, which is a record that we know of. We monitor every single school board meeting, which is often where problems start and where we can address the school board. We work with the school superintendents to make sure that they understand the law. They have all their own challenges in the school system. COVID has been really hard on the school system, and they have a lot of turnover. They have a lot of new people who don't understand the law, and we want to help them. We school teachers have the greatest respect for school teachers. My husband used to be a school teacher, and so we love to work with the Department of Education and the school superintendents and their liaisons to help them better understand the law. But it takes time, it takes effort, and your donations and your gifts to HEAV, your volunteer help with HEAV also stretches those dollars. We're frugal homeschool moms, and we know how to stretch a dollar. So everything that you give tonight, we're going to stop talking. I'm going to stop talking in a minute, and will help support the work that HEAV does year round. We're here all year for you and for others, and for the parents who need the confidence, who need to be the encouragement and be equipped to be able to teach and train their children at home. So thank you for your donations. Thank you so much. I don't know where we are. I didn't get an update on the matches, but hopefully we will meet that goal. And I just ask that you would prayerfully consider how you could support HEAV. And Susannah, thank you for being brave. All the sister-in-laws, we have 8 children. They're all married. So I have 6 daughters-in-law. And many of them are next door at our son's house visiting. And thank you, Susannah, for being here. You're very welcome. And for supporting HEAV. Our next gen, yay.
Next gen.
Thanks so much for being here. And I'll probably do a midnight raid and give you an update later tonight. Thanks so much.